You're listening to the Bryan and Gina Show, the official podcast of LA Magazine. Here are your hosts, Bryan and Gina.
Hello, and welcome to the Bryan and Gina Show, the official podcast of Los Angeles Magazine. I'm Brian Bishop.
I'm Gina Grad.
And we come to you today from sunny Southern California for once in a while. Ironic that we have a weatherman, meteorologist, as our guest today to explain what's happening, what's going on. Atmospheric rivers, pineapple expresses, El Niños, all of the Los Niños, I guess you would say, all those things that I don't know heads or tails. He will hopefully explain them to us. But as it stands at the recording time, Gina, all I see is blue sky.
Blue skies. It was not like that overnight, though, and I can tell you that firsthand. And I know that we're not done with the wet weather. So I'm so glad he's coming on and he's going to hold our hand through all of this.
Thank goodness. Now, you have had a lot of excitement. First of all, you're under the weather. Thank you for powering through.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm a hero.
I hear in your voice the excitement to be talking to me. But the big news, you were sitting in on the Woody Show on 98.7 today and tomorrow, is it?
Actually, it was the last 2 days, or should I say 2 nights. I can't decide if it was third shift or first shift. I feel like it was third and a half shift.
Okay.
But it was a wild ride, and it was.
Well, what does that mean? What time did you start?
Well, the first night, we'll call it what it was. The first night, I set my alarm for 2 a.m.
Oh my!
I got there at 3 a.m. The next night, I slept in because I was like, you don't do that twice. So I slept in until 3 and got there at 4, which was actually much more bearable. But live from 5 to 10, thereabouts, and had a blast. Had an absolute blast. For
people outside the area, the Woody Show is a very popular morning radio show here in Los Angeles. It's FM on 98.7, which is an FM station. And Gina how'd this come about?
Oh, honey, I have to interrupt you because for people outside the area, I assure you they're quite familiar. It's syndicated in 30 markets.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Including a couple in our neighbors to the north, Canada.
So yeah. What do you mean, La Cañada?
That's right. La Cañada, Flint Ridge down the street. But that's the funny thing, because whenever you think about syndicated, and what that means, of course, is that, not of course, because some people don't know, that it's broadcast in different markets, different cities around the country. And when you think of it logically, like, well, I live in New York and LA picked up my show, which is funny because they're getting it 3 hours later. Now try spinning that on its head and saying, we got to get up bright and early because we have to be rising and shining for the East Coast markets who are 3 hours ahead of us.
The west to east syndication is tricky.
Yeah. So really, I mean, hats off to that whole crew. They're amazing. Long story short, their co-host, Ravi, was out of town for a couple days. So Woody asked me to, just fill the chair and have fun with them. And it was a blast. He actually asked about you. He sends his love.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we met him on the same evening.
Indeed. I honestly wasn't surprised to hear that he remembers me. I mean, you stand out, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Thank you very much. Well, as I was leaving, he goes, I was like, yeah. He's like, how's Bryan? Bryan's good. Yeah, he's doing good. Yeah, he's good. Okay, well, tell him I say hi.
Sound of screeching tires, yeah.
So, he asked about you. So, it was probably, I think it was during the pandemic. So, like 2 years ago.
I don't remember. I remember him coming in. I remember if we were in the studio.
We were not. We were doing, and excuse me, this really just came on strong, like in the last hour, my little stuffiness. But we were doing the Jam in the Van, which was an outdoor event during COVID.
Oh, that was right down the street from me.
From you, yes, not from me, from you. And he was a guest, and we had so much fun. And we just kind of like loosely stayed in contact. Hey, how are you? Whatever. And he just invited me to, fill a chair, and we had a blast. Morning radio, as you know, is fun. It's great.
Sure. Yeah, I will tell you, the Jam in the Van shows that we did at that little I don't know, the house, the office,
like
I
that
don't know what
little
to call it.
backyard.
Cottage? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, I'm going to, I can map it, but I'm going to say it's 1.3 miles away from my house. And probably took me 18 minutes to drive there. The traffic is just outrageous.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember
I
that.
can only imagine what it was like for you.
Yeah, anything in that area is tough stuff. But that's where we all met. And so, but because karma is sweet, that drive for me that night was horrible. But you know what was not horrible? Living
What's that?
4 minutes away from where Woody records.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So granted, it's technically the middle of the night for most of us, and it was pouring. In fact, it was like a horror movie.
Oh, that was the hardest rain. It was like right there at like 2 a.m.
Oh, yeah. That's when I'm in the car. I freak out because I start hearing like, ah, ah, and I'm like, whoa, whoa. And I'm trying to drive and I'm hydroplaning. Thank you, phone, for letting me know that we're in a flash flood warning while I'm trying to navigate a flash flood.
Yeah.
So that was terrifying. But once you get there, everyone's, their studio is so much nicer than anything you and I have ever recorded out of.
Really?
Oh, I mean, even in the old KLSX studio, which you had a nice studio. It's just, I mean, state of the art, beautiful. There's so much fun. Everyone is so
Nice.
easygoing, so likable.
Well, maybe I'll get invited down there someday to check it out. Who knows? Fingers crossed.
Dare to dream. No, I was hoping, I mean, not hoping, I was like, oh, maybe there'll be a guest because as you can probably imagine, there's a lot of crossover from guests that they have and guests that we've had in the past. So like,
Sure.
they're always talking about Joe Coy and, they're friends with Bert Kreischer, just all the comics. So, but there were no guests for 2 days. We just kind of chopped it up and talked about crazy things. And, I danced like a little puppet with impressions because, I love doing that. And, just had fun. It's just, I forgot how much fun it is. I mean, I'd been doing news radio and, it's been a while since it's been.
The impressions stick out. I mean, they're kind of like not appropriate, but you power through.
Thank you.
For news radio.
I even warned them when they asked for Gwen Stefani that I said, this is hard on the ear.
Yeah.
So back off.
It's good that you set expectations.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to lie to these people. I don't know them. We're not going to start out on that foot. But it was so much fun just to do an old school, and I wouldn't even call it a zoo, but just an old school morning radio show, fun topics, ridiculous games. I mean, that's fun. That's why I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So thank you. Big thank you to The Woody Show.
Every show is these days, it seems like there exists a podcast version for people who are outside the area and they want to catch up. I assume they can download or listen.
100%. Thank you for asking. It is, what's today's date? So you just go to The Woody Show or wherever you listen to podcasts. Mine's on Spotify, Apple, whatever. And the February 20th show and the February.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't slept in 48 hours.
We're close.
February 21st are the two shows that I'm on, but you should listen to all of them because it's a fantastic morning show. But if you want to hear mine, it's February 20th and February 21st.
Happy February, everyone. I forgot to mention earlier.
Is it a leap February?
That's right. I'll leave February.
So I literally in the last couple hours I took a little video of, just so you could see the studio and really fun. And I mean, yeah, Woody's just, salt of the earth, it's like for just a hardcore famous, nationally famous radio dude, you always have to be like, oh, is this going to be prickly?
Right.
Not even remotely prickly. Dare I say cuddly.
Nice. Oh, yeah. How about that?
I mean, I don't think he would like that.
I was going to say, don't burst the bubble on the persona.
Just a really nice guy and a nice group. So, yeah, it was a blast.
Great. Good. I'm glad. I'm going to download and listen to those. Sounds like a lot of fun. Very cool. Otherwise, I don't know about you. Pretty quiet weekend around the Bishop household. It was raining the entire time, so we didn't really get much in. But I do have what I discovered. I discovered turns out is a popular pizza place, but in LA, delivery pizza. You can go to get like Bianco's or Mozza or something, and it's
Sure.
high end and sit down, borderline gourmet pizza.
Yeah.
But in terms of delivery, it's not. It's if I'm being kind, I would say LA as a culinary town is like a great basketball player with a lot of facets to the game. That said, pizza maybe not one of them. Pizza is to LA maybe what free throw shooting was to Shaq. Like not the strongest part of an otherwise
not what he's known for.
Not an otherwise Hall of Fame caliber player. Maybe not his strongest suit.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I'd have to agree. There's a couple of, good, decent places, but we're not known for it.
Yeah. It's not what you put on the sizzle reel. That said, we decided let's order in pizza on this rainy night over the weekend. And I did my move, which I recommend to everyone, which is, yes, I do use Yelp. I go to an area, a region, a geographic area, whatever. I do my search, but then here's the key. Change the filter, the sort, change it from recommended, which is the default. And that's basically Yelp saying, hey, here's the people who pay us to recommend.
Right.
Change it from recommend to rating. And then you'll get the actual highest rated whatever in the area. So looked in the ratings, and the highest rated pizza place was called Fat Tomato. I'd never heard of Fat Tomato Pizza, but it exists in your former town of your former neighborhood of Koreatown. There's one there. There's one in Long Beach, one in Harbor City, one in Hermosa. That cut up and down the South Bay area, and newly opened here on the West Side at Olympic and a Gateway or something. It's on Olympic Boulevard here in LA or in West LA. So we decided to give it a shot. Pizza took longer than we thought it would to get to our place because of the traffic and the weather and whatever. That said, even with the pizza being a little less than piping hot fresh, it was really good. One of the best delivery pizzas I've had in town. Christy and I were both kind of like, this is really good. We got a cheese pizza for Tessa and a loaded pizza for me and Christy. Nice. Both were good. Enjoyed both. We estimated, I don't know for a fact, I've not interviewed these people, but I estimate that they use a higher end mozzarella, maybe more salt, because the pizza really pops. And I was very pleased with our selection and happy to recommend Fat Tomato to anyone who's out there. Here's how you know they're good. Their website sucks.
It does. I'm looking at it right now. That's funny. And they have a couple locations all over LA and in Seattle, if you're up there. So yes, I've had Fat Tomato, I think once or twice back in my other life when I lived on the East Side, like you said. And I do remember it being really good. So I'm glad you had a good experience.
Yeah, so nice pizza recommendation for everyone, especially in the South Bay, the Harbor City area. St. Peter, I think there's one, or if you're up here on the West Side, or Koreatown. I guess they got most areas covered.
That is awesome. I always feel bad. Are you supposed to order in a torrential downpour? Is that mean to the driver? Or are they well, I mean, who else is going to do it?
Well, also, I mean, literally, ironically, make hay while the sun shines.
Right.
This is our prime time, baby.
Yeah, surge pricing.
It's like feeling bad for getting into an Uber at 2 a.m. It's no, this is the best. That's when the bars close. That's when they're making the money.
You're absolutely right. We did brave the rain one night to go somewhere special. I don't know if you'll remember this, but remember back on one of our many holiday party stories where we went to Musso and Frank's, and one of the white elephant gifts was a $100 gift card to Musso Frank's.
Yes.
We cashed that bad boy in on Saturday.
Nice. One of the best white elephant gifts you can come away with.
It was awesome. Thank God they forgot their gift and had to run to the host stand and go get something. It was awesome, delicious. Just to pay it off, was
this your first time? Your first time there, not exchanging gifts?
No, I've been there, I think, twice before, and it's just solid. It's iconic. And
for outside the area people, it's an iconic, legendary restaurant in Hollywood, legacy restaurant. Yeah. Well, this is the one that was featured in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, yes?
I would not be surprised.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it's from 1919. So it's been around over 100 years, like an Italian, like steakhouse. It's fantastic. I did get in trouble though, because I've been there, like I said, I've been there a handful of times, but I never noticed in one of the main dining rooms, there's a counter that people are sitting at. I never noticed. So I took a picture of it.
Yeah, this is where I saw Christy and I saw Nick Cage last time we were there.
Okay, that makes more sense because I nearly had my phone smacked out of my hand by somebody who worked there. And I was like, what? No pictures of the guests.
Oh.
And I looked at the counter. I was like, am I missing somebody? Is there somebody famous? Should we? Just
Do we know?
I said, yeah, I've been here before. I just never noticed the counter. No pictures of the guests. Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
All right.
Anyway.
Keeping their membership private.
Exactly. I felt like I was at Chateau Marmont again. So we went into the dining room and I told you that their fettuccine Alfredo is supposed to be the greatest fettuccine Alfredo outside of Italy. That the lore has it that I can't remember whoever I said it was, the two, silver screen actor and actress.
It was Douglas Fairbanks or something.
Exactly. One of them. And
Clark Gable, who knows?
I think it actually was Douglas Fairbanks.
That name sounds familiar, but I gotta keep going. I'm sorry to derail your story.
So on the menu, it says like they were on their honeymoon in Italy, and Chef Alfredo made this pasta. And they freaked out. They begged for for the recipe, and the chef said no. And then remember the stories like they came back with some like golden spoons and forks. Like traded it for the recipe.
Sure.
So they brought this to the chef at Musso Frank's a million years ago, and he apparently, when the story goes, recreated it exactly the same. And I said, well, I gotta know because fettuccine is fettuccine. Oh my God. I even have a picture of it in case you're not familiar with what it looks like.
Oh, look at that.
We had to get it. We shared it. And
so was it everything it's cracked up to be?
It's yes, and it's hard to explain. It's yes, okay, fine. It's noodles and cream and whatever. Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks.
It was Douglas Fairbanks.
Ryan, you're genius.
I really just grabbed that out of nowhere.
This fettuccine is so silky and so rich, and unlike what I was expecting, had a bit of a tang.
Interesting.
So I don't know if it was like lemon juice or like extra sharp Parmesan.
The milk was curdled.
That's probably it. But it was so silky and delicious and rich, but with a little bit of a little bite, little tang to it. It was absolutely gorgeous is the only way to describe it. It was worth trying. You think you've had it because you've been to Olive Garden? Please.
Yeah. I've been there twice. I've never ventured for the fettuccine Alfredo.
Oh, just do it. Or like get one for the table. It's, a couple bites each.
Yeah.
It is so worth it. That's the only reason I remember it was established in 1919 because it says it on the bowls.
Yeah, you can't forget.
So I highly recommend it. It was like, I don't know, $28 and we split it. And it was an absolute thing of beauty. Then speaking of splitting, the next picture, we couldn't decide between the ribeye and the filet. So we each got one and shared.
Oh,
split in half.
Look at you.
It was just so juicy and smoky and tender and old school. I don't know how else to explain
it. You described it well. My experience there, the couple of times I've been, has been you're not going there for the food. Like again, if it's the basketball player, this is not what you put on the scouting report as a strength. That said, it's enjoyable and it's satisfying to a certain degree.
Oh yeah, I mean the steak was fantastic. It's it's not your typical steakhouse. We've talked steak on this show many times, but this was delicious and cut like butter, and just juicy and just exactly what you'd want it to be, exactly what you'd expect. And it was a great little date night out. It was our post Valentine's evening, dinner, and we had a great time.
I wonder if they saw you two walk in and said, there's the new Douglas Fairbanks and Mary Pickford, and they gave you guys the choice cuts.
I think you're probably right. And the guy smacked the phone out of my hand because he thought my hand was somebody else's and they were trying to take a picture of us.
Do you remember my experience with Nicolas Cage, my experience being he walked past my table and I was like, oh, there's Nicolas Cage. And he walked past and Christy had a good view. It was like, yeah, that's definitely him. And someone, a patron of some sort, I'm not going to say drunkenly because I don't know for a fact this man was drunk. I just know that somebody very familiarly saddled up into his booth and was cutting him up and eventually got the boot from management. They were like,
That's
sir,
right.
can you please return to your table?
That's right. And that
I'm getting the play-by-play from Christy, by the way. He's like, oh my God, he's sitting down. Oh my God, he's still talking.
And that's when you are supposed to volunteer as the quote-unquote image, and then she looks like she's taking a picture of you, but she's taking a picture of Nicolas Cage. That's the move.
Yeah, that would have been a smart move.
But
we follow the rules, Gina.
Yeah, that's not really my thing. But it was absolutely scrumdiddlyumptious, as Willy Wonka would say. And it was such a great evening out because we don't, we're not bishops. We don't go out every night of the week. But
well, God, that's Hollywood Boulevard, man. That's a destination.
I know.
Well, it is Hollywood, right? Is it Hollywood?
Yeah, Hollywood Boulevard. Home in time for Dateline. I mean, it was perfection.
It's a perfect night.
It really was. I think we actually ended up finishing up. No, because that was Sunday. We finished the latest season of True Detective, which I wish you watched so we could talk about it. And then started over with the old Woody Harrelson, Matthew McConaughey one because we're creatures of habit.
Nice. Did either you go for the classic yet oddly small martini?
We're not martini people. In fact, it's funny. I'm not a big drinker for no reason that it's not my thing. And I think my husband feels weird sometimes ordering a cocktail if I'm not. So this is the move. It's so funny. With total confidence and exhilaration, can I offer you the cocktail? Diet Coke, please. And then Andy goes, oh yeah, make that too. Immediately, I think, no matter where we are, they know for a fact we are in the program, and they
Out
stop
comes
pushing.
the flask.
They think we are 12
recovering.
steppers.
Yeah, sure.
And the cocktail menu is whisked off the table, and it's never spoken of again.
Oh my! They didn't even give them the opportunity.
Well, no, I knew I wasn't drinking. I guess Andy didn't feel like it, and so suddenly we're friends, Bill, and then it's yes, no problem.
That's interesting because when I walk in, they hand me two menus, one for my left hand, one for my right. I'm like, sir, we'll be right with you. We're going to get the wheelbarrow out here.
As much as I love a fountain drink, and that is the best kind, they do give you your own tiny little bottle of Diet Coke, which is very classy, with like an old school like malt shop straw and a lime.
Sure.
So even that they make better than it needs to be. But we also, God, Vinny listens to the show. He constantly reminds me. Yes, we had the fettuccine. We're putting life into living, Vinny. Andy also had to order the scalloped potatoes.
Sure.
I never understood, truly, I'm not making this up. I never understood what people meant by like, oh, that's rich. That's too rich. Like, what does that mean? Like, does that mean too delicious? What does that mean?
Rich?
Yeah.
I always think of rich as, very creamy, very big, literally a big mouthfeel. Rich is saucy, creamy, a lot of flavor, heavy perhaps.
Like, what if it's chocolate, like chocolate cake? Can you say that's too rich?
Yeah, like whatever it is, whether it's sweet or savory or what, like if it's scalloped potatoes and it's cheesy, or if it's the 7-layer chocolate cake and it's sweet, it's got an extra oomph to it. You know what I mean? Like it's sweet and then some, or it's cheesy and then some.
Okay, because when people say something's too rich, and I think I have the scale to prove it, I never really understood. Like, does that mean we're supposed to stop, or what? I mean, it's great. It is great, rich.
Yeah, keep it coming.
Yeah. So the scalloped potatoes, I finally believe I know what people mean by that is rich, dense, very dairy based. I would venture to say 14 sticks of butter in our little tiny skillet, and a half a wheel of cheese.
Nice.
My mouth loved it. My stomach was like,
hold on, we got something to say.
Jews aren't supposed to do this. They're supposed to have this much lactose.
Yeah.
But It was delicious.
You converted that night, whether you like it or not.
It's true. I was like, I can't hang with this like cheese curd loving Minnesota boy that I married. I am going to be ill. But it was so good.
Is that a side dish or does that come with the meal? What is that?
It was ordered special.
Okay,
You really
good. But
wanted it.
hey, listen, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, exactly. So it was that was our big night out.
Exciting. Yeah, ours was a big night in with the fat tomato. I really enjoyed it. It was, like I said, that salty mozzarella where you're like, oh, they're like, we've been doing enough. Actually, that was the other thing we did over the weekend. We went to a kid's birthday party, like a 8-year-old, I guess.
Yeah.
And so there was Pizza Hut, I guess it was. And we've been to enough, I'm sure you have too, enough kids parties over the last 7.5 years that there have been a lot of Domino's and Fresh Brothers and what have you served. And all that pizza ends up tasting more or less the same. You know, it's kind of saucy and ironically
greasy.
Saucy and dry at the same time.
Yes.
But
absolutely.
this was not that. It was a very cheesy, right amount of salt, thin crust. And I mean thin like no crust like some people do. It had the smallest of crusts. It was great.
I love that.
Yeah.
And we're actually going to a child's birthday party in a couple days at a not like a nice pizza place, like, you know, wear your suit, but like a non-chain. So I respect the parents for at least doing it a non-chain.
Oh, that's nice. No organ playing in the background.
I wish. Yeah, no, I don't think there's nary a claw machine to be found.
Oh no.
Yeah. So yeah, people, and we've talked about this so much through the years, but I'm glad you mentioned the cheese because the dough is usually the thing that's brought up.
Right.
And the cheese makes a difference too. In fact, I was sent a little glass bottle of balsamic vinaigrette from Italy. Oh, nothing. And I've been really going hard with the little mozzarella balls and cherry tomatoes and that and some oil. And it gives you that same vibe without going, oh God, I just blew all my Weight Watchers points.
Is it the reduced balsamic vinegar where it's real thick and like syrupy, or is it just regular balsamic?
That's not my thing. Like the glaze.
Oh, really? Well, a little, I will say a little goes a long way. Like a few drops of the, it's like vanilla extract. It's like a few drops and you're fine.
Yeah. And the kid loves it. A little flaky salt and some pepper and off to the races.
Perfect. Well,
so should we talk weather with somebody who actually understands weather?
Yes, let's please do that. Coming up next, hold on, I have it right here. Yes, Jonathan Novack from Fox 11, Gina Grad's own Fox 11, will join us just a second. Welcome back to the show, and let's welcome Jonathan Novack from Fox 11 News, weatherman, meteorologist. What do you prefer to be known as, Jonathan?
Weather god would be good. If we could go with
that. Can do.
No, meteorologist is good. Yeah, we can stick with just meteorologist or weather dude. Some people call me. They used to call me Doppler.
Oh yeah, if weather god is an option, we have some requests / bones to pick with you.
Let's not go with that then.
Okay.
And look at him sitting outside of the blue sky. He's really soaking it in. He like runs on photosynthesis.
I know. Can you believe the change today? It's beautiful outside, but I'm with you. I blame myself in some ways, but but it's just been an insane season, and every day that we get that's like this right now, it feels like it's just. I mean, it's been really traumatic, and so days like this are this afternoon the storm has moved on, and it just feels like we're back in Southern California finally, where we should be with the sunshine. And thankfully for at least a few days, because you know what, we got more rain on the way. It looks like.
I was gonna say,
what the hell is going on, Jonathan?
Yeah, this is the desert, man. What gives?
I know. At the very least, El Nino is a big part of what's happening. You know, statistically, we can look at that and we can say that this is what would maybe not this, but a wetter season would be what you would expect. So there's that. However, actually, what's interesting about that? Do you guys want to know a little?
I want to know all about this. Let's start at
Please.
square one, if I may. So people, no, I don't know any of this. El Nino is mystery to me. People say it's an El Nino year, and I'm like, oh, great. So lots of rain. Well, no, it could be a dry El Nino. So what is El Nino? What does that mean? What do you expect when that
And how
happens?
does that differ from a La Nina?
Sure. El Nino is a warming, abnormal warming, or an anomalously warm sea surface temperatures around the equator. The equatorial ocean, the Pacific Ocean, is warmer than normal, and that warm sea surface, that warm water, changes the larger scale, what we call synoptic scale atmospheric patterns, and what that results in is different. In terms of the seasonal rainfall and temperatures, different parts of the country, different parts of the world, but different parts of our country see an impact. And so normally from an El Nino, we would get a wetter than normal season. And in a La Nina would be the opposite, cooler than normal uh, equatorial Pacific waters, and we would get a drier than normal season. However, there's a little caveat in there where when we have historically gotten 3 La Ninas in a row, followed by a strong El Nino, which has happened a few times, we have never gotten a wetter than normal season. It's been the opposite. And so this year is, and not to complicate it, like with, they call it a triple dip La Nina.
Oh, delicious! I love Super Bowl party.
Yeah, with chocolate sauce on it.
Yeah, I don't come up with this stuff, but um, it's an interesting name. But that's what we're in this year. It's technically it's called a triple dip La Nina, and or El Nino. After a triple dip La Nina pattern, we normally wouldn't have a wet season, but we, for the first time, looking back about 3 or 4 times in the last 80 years when we've had this pattern. This is the first time we've had a wetter than normal season. Now, that said, there's also a very warm northern Pacific Ocean, and that is abnormal as well. And nobody really knows how that has factored in the past. It's not a typical thing. And so these factors are sort of, they're a little bit more of a question mark in the overall grand scheme of things. But El Nino, for sure, we know we would get a wetter than normal season, but this is definitely, obviously above and beyond. Um, and we've had the surf in December. You guys remember that?
Oh, that was
Obviously,
Yeah.
insane.
it was insane. And then now that's been a constant feature of pretty much since then. We've had, when these systems have come through one after another, we've had high surf advisories or warnings, plus the coastal flood advisories for the overflowing, the tidal overflow. And this storm was no different. We just didn't hear more about that because it was the rain and the mudslides that were kind of taking center stage.
And
So,
that's always the fear after the rain. Now we're worried about the mudslides. Now these,
right.
it's everywhere from, blocking parts of cold water so we can't get over the hill to these and this is the stuff that makes the national news, multi-million dollar properties that are teetering on a cliff.
Right. I mean, those houses that you've seen that are just half of the house, or not, maybe not half, but I mean, it's hanging off the edge of the
Yeah.
cliff. And we've heard that, well, it's stable for now. And then the rain comes through. And of course, the problem is that we have a lot of the area that is susceptible to mudslides, to landslides. Mudslides are just a type of landslide. And we're especially those south-facing slopes, because of all the rain we've already had.
Right.
And don't forget, we had Tropical Storm Hillary come through, and that sort of set the stage. We were out of a drought before December. We didn't
Yeah, we were
need,
celebrating.
yeah, we were already good to go. We didn't need rain in that regard. We didn't need it. And so here comes 2, 3 atmospheric, depending on how you look at it, multiple atmospheric rivers. Uh, these storm systems, essentially what happened was, think of it like the person on the side of the road, when in those movies or in the scene or in real life, if you're unlucky, the person on the side of the road, and the car is coming down the road and drives right through the puddle and they get soaked.
Yep.
So we're the person on the side of the road, and it's, instead of the puddle, it's the atmospheric river, and instead of a car, it's these huge, it's like a train coming down the street, and is just constantly just sending that water up, these storm systems, taking all that deep moisture that's coming in from the subtropical moisture from the southwest, and just dumping it right down on us, standing there with nowhere to go. And it's been a really bad scenario, and unfortunately, it's just been repeating. And that's the atmosphere is like, if you think of it like a rope, and you go like that, the sort of ripples or the waves and the troughs and ridges you would see in that rope would be essentially how the atmosphere kind of moves. And so right now we've been getting these big troughs, these big dips in the atmosphere, carrying in, sucking in, pulling in all that deep subtropical moisture. That's the atmospheric river. And these systems are coming right down and just picking it up and dumping it. And they're stalling out, which is also a very frustrating thing. But it's a very unfortunate thing, because it's been about as bad as it could be each storm that's come through this so far this season.
Jeez. So wait, define, because you mentioned it before, define that atmospheric river. Not define it, but explain it to a dullard like me.
Sure. Well, it's essentially, again, you think of the atmosphere. Yes, it's like the jets. The jet stream. These really strong winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Think of winds like that. They're a little bit, lower down in the atmosphere, but they're pulling in all this deep subtropical moisture. So they're basically pulling in moisture from the southwest, from around Hawaii, from the subtropics. And so that's basically, that's essentially what's happening, is you get this big dip in the atmosphere, digging down that far south enough that it taps into that moisture and yanks it right up. And you can see it on satellite imagery. You can see it where it's just this channel of clouds coming in from the southwest. And what's happened with us is that's come in, which would normally, it happens. It's something that happens. It's not like this is the first year, or last year was the first year.
Right.
But it's the repeated pattern. And it's also that the storms have stalled out in a place where that atmospheric river is right over Southern California. And so the first, but the storm that came in, before this one, we had about a day or so where it hardly moved. And this storm system, we had about 13 hours where it was over Santa Barbara, Ventura, and Western LA counties. And then the next 13, there was a break. And then the next 13 hours, it was over Eastern LA County and the Inland Empire. If you remember yesterday, they were getting hammered in the Inland Empire. And so, so this atmospheric river is a huge culprit in why we're seeing so much rain. But the thing that's bringing it here, this big trough, and this big dip in the atmosphere, is also half to blame. Again, not me to blame. Blame is the other half of the equation, because it's not moving, and so it pulls in all this moisture and it doesn't go anywhere. Finally, today, that trough, or that system, that big area of low pressure, it finally pushed through overnight into this morning, and now we have this beautiful weather. But the trough is not really going anywhere. I mean, it's going to dig back. Yeah, it's going to dig back in, and by Monday we have another chance of rain, albeit not a big chance of rain, but it's not going to take much more. You know what? My dog just got out.
Oh, go. We'll filibuster.
Well,
you go, go,
seriously.
go. You get the doggy. Go.
Okay.
Go.
I'm
go.
sorry.
That's
okay.
Right.
We'll digest.
Yeah, we have things to talk about.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, what is she doing? She's an escape artist. Okay.
Go. They're all escape artists.
Yeah,
he'll be right back.
the dog, for God's sake.
He's too polite. He's watching the dog, run down the street.
The dog's been cooped up too long with the rain. It's like, blue skies, I'm out of here.
Exactly, like that horse that was galloping down a Philly highway the other day, just going, woohoo, why not? And I also, obviously, I'm sure Jonathan can attest to this. From we've all heard that Mammoth is doing great. Tons of fresh powder, like 10 inches. Everybody, everybody's happy up there. What kind of doggy are we talking about, Jonathan? Oh, it's a pitty.
My dog Winnie.
Oh, what a happy
look
dog.
at that sweet pitty.
She's a good girl.
That's a big girl. That's the kind of girl that she's sweet and no one else does, and that's the best combination.
Yeah, there was a story that ran about these dogs that attack their owner, and
Yeah,
sorry,
that was.
and it's hard to hear that. It's hard to hear that because here's the thing with this breed, um, pit bulls they can be vicious dogs, but if you notice, they can be the sweetest dogs in the world. They're like the empaths of the dog world.
They're very sweet. Yeah.
And they pick up on their owner's energy or whatever the owner wants them to be. So if the owner is, like, for instance, my dog is neurotic, stressed out. But if the owner wants their dog to be a fighting dog or an aggressive dog, then that can happen with this breed. They're very malleable, but they can be. My dog is the sweetest dog in the world. She's also an escape artist, and she just got out the door. I've never had that happen before, but go
Wow.
figure.
Well, I've never personally, anecdotally, never knew a pit bull or a Rottweiler to be anything but a big teddy bear. But also,
Same with
I'm
me.
not trying to breed them to fight each other.
That's what I'm. There's people. Why don't and people do that, and
Horrible.
it's evil, and and these dogs they have no say, and they don't. They have no say where they end up. They have no say in who they end up with, and it's sad, and it's really sad because they're just so innocent, and then these people turn them into something that they're not meant to be, something
Yeah.
that they're not. It's abuse. It's straight up abuse, and
Oh,
it's very upsetting. So,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a horrible story, and of course not of course, because I don't know how it works, but just to round out that sad story, they did have to they
I
chose
know.
to put all the dogs down because,
Uh,
who are you gonna adopt it to once it's killed somebody?
I
So it's,
know.
yeah, a horrible story, but you have a sweet little angel,
Great.
obviously.
She's very sweet. Yes.
So if
So,
we could
John,
just
Winnie, by the way.
good.
well, I was just
Oh,
gonna
that's
say, if
nice.
we could just pick your brain for another minute, because it's not every day we get to talk to a real we don't do weather bunny anymore, right? You're not a weather bunny.
A weather bunny? Is
Yeah,
that like
remember that? That was the old term, like, "Oh, the weather bunny."
No, I'm not a
That
weather bunny.
I was gonna say, I'm sure that predated you.
Yeah, is that like I think I know what you're saying. Yeah. No, that's not
That's
me.
we don't say stewardess anymore, we don't say weather bunny, and I think you know what I say? Good riddance to both of those phrases. So,
I'm with you.
yeah, I was saying that, obviously places like Mammoth and Big Bear and all the ski places love it.
They
You know,
love it.
they get the fresh powder, but it feels like just yesterday that 90% of those people are trapped in their houses.
Yeah, the amount of snow. So Snow Valley they reported 80 to 90 plus inches of snow the
Wow.
last system, and they normally get 89 in a year.
Oh my god.
Um, and I'm trying to think of what was there was yeah that's no that was the statistic. And so this go around, um, the snowfall was not as bad, but you know what, the rain wasn't actually as much as last time either. So this wasn't as bad of a system, but it didn't need to be. This was a really it was like an insult to injury, um, that this system came through, because that last one was 10 to 15 inches in widespread. Woodland Hills
Yeah.
saw almost 15 inches of rain, and this system was 8 or 9 inches in some of the western counties, but 4, 5, 6 inches in many places.
Wow.
But the snowfall this time was not as much. But yeah, it's been piling up, and the resorts love it if people can get there to use their slopes.
Right,
I
if their
mean,
roofs don't collapse.
if their roofs don't collapse, if their cars aren't completely covered in snow
Right.
or washed out on the side of the road somewhere, yeah, it's really, I mean, it's the gamut. And then you've got the coastal areas, and there's all
Oh,
this erosion. We haven't really heard too much about it, but there's going to be plenty of this coastal beach erosion, especially you get to Santa Barbara County, but also western Ventura County, the west facing, because these systems, when they come in, so if you think about these areas of low pressure, the winds go counterclockwise. So on the south end of these systems, kind of think about that, we're getting that westerly wind. And you get,
oh.
so those westerly winds coming around the system, one system after another, push all the water repeatedly and push it eastward. And so that's why when you hear there's a high surf advisory, or there's a coastal flood advisory for northwest facing beaches, that's why, because of the systems that and the direction of the wind flow around areas of low pressure pushing the water toward the coastline. it's basically a long fetch or a long stretch of time and distance. And so that's been happening a lot this whole season because we've had so many storm systems moving through the atmosphere, more than normal, through the Pacific, and even ones that haven't affected us will still bring in the surf, which is what happened in December as well.
And that's when Ellen and Oprah chime in and say it's going through our backyard.
Yeah, and then they ask you to pitch in, and I'm like, wait a minute, something's not right about that picture. Oprah wants me to pitch in.
It's an opposite day. Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan, as long as you have time, in 60 seconds or so, what exactly is a Pineapple Express, and how does that affect what we've been dealing with?
And not just a strain of indica either.
Yeah, I was preparing for today, and I watched the movie, and I was like, wait a minute, this is not what this is.
It's not helping.
Okay. Good movie though. Essentially, it's the atmospheric river. It's the same thing basically, but it's referring to the source of that subtropical moisture being around Hawaii, and it's a reference to that as far as the Pineapple Express. That's the reference.
So it's an atmospheric river that starts in Hawaii.
Yeah, essentially that's basically that would sum it up, I think. So. Yeah.
And can you please just clear up one more thing that we all learned on TikTok? And I want to make sure that it's right before I continue telling everyone.
Yeah, if you want to do a breakdance or the spin, you really got to put your hips. That's not what.
Thank you.
That's what I want. That's what I want.
The guy's a pro.
I know. Well, I know we have to go, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you because we all learned sometime last year, in the last year or two, what it really means when, the rest of us know now, I think, when it says, 48% chance of rain. And we've all grown up thinking that means there's a 48% chance that it will rain. Nay. On TikTok, a meteorologist told us that means 48% of that area has 100% chance of rain. You're shaking your head no?
No. I don't know why. No, it's not. That's why we say, that's why there are percentages for different areas. You'll hear me say, we have an 80% chance of rain. The bulk of that chance is going to be in the western counties. So that basically that's saying that if you're in Santa Barbara County or Ventura County, you have the bulk of that chance is going to be for you. So you have a better chance there. It's not like 40% chance of the area. No, I don't know who that was, but who was that?
Ruins everything.
Well, yeah, I know. Was he breakdancing while he said it though?
Obviously, she was doing the worm, so I could have maybe misheard her. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay, thank you for busting that myth, and thank you so much for spending time with us.
Sure thing, yeah. Just by the way, it's called POP, probability of precipitation, and so it's for a specific area. It's for the area. That would mean that's the chance that area gets rain.
It was a 7-year-old named Caden, so we probably should have guessed right away that it was not legit. But here we are.
So it is the thing we thought it was, and we're not as smart as we think we are. I think.
No, you're very smart. You are smart.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. We appreciate you, man. Hopefully talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Bye, guys.
Take it easy, man.
Bye.
All right, don't leave. Before we go, Gina, tell the people, Alex, honey.
Well, here's the thing. I feel naked and underdressed because I wanted to put on my finest jewelry to talk to Jonathan. I had to power through anyway. But if I had it my way, obviously, I would have put on my Alex and Ani jewelry like this. Hey, everybody. What's up? It's Gina Grad. And when you're searching for the perfect piece of jewelry, it can be hard to find a brand you trust. Alex and Ani has been creating meaningful jewelry for over 20 years, designing pieces that connect you with all of life's important moments. With an emphasis on value, there is truly something for everyone. They've recently launched their Everyday collection. I could not love it more. These pieces are made from stainless steel and an advanced water-resistant plating method that doesn't tarnish. It has the look of real gold. It's beautiful. I love these pieces because they feel so classic, but they have so much versatility. Alex and Ani are also featuring some gorgeous pieces that I have right here, like Black Lotus, this gorgeous Black Lotus charm necklace, and their Stay Wild pendant, and their Wings of Protection necklace that have a classic and vintage feel. See that? And of course, you can't forget their signature bangle bracelets, which I'm also wearing.
And I have a lot of their stuff. I have the numerology bracelets. I have the hula dancer to commemorate a meaningful trip I took to Hawaii. From classic to bold statement pieces, Alex and Ani makes it easy to sprinkle your personality into each piece or make a truly meaningful gift for someone you care about. Meanwhile, you can take comfort in knowing that you're shopping with a socially conscious brand, as Alex and Ani has donated over $60 million to nonprofits worldwide, connecting fashion and philanthropy in an easy, fun, affordable way. Right now, Alex and Ani is offering our audience 20% off. So check their gorgeous collection out at alexandani.com and use the promo code MIDAS, that's MEIDAS, at alexandani.com. Use that promo code at checkout for 20% off your order. Come and get something beautiful. So yeah, I just felt a little underdressed, but I'm sure Jonathan won't hold it against me.
Oh, no.
Well, John, as long as you're here, man, I'm sorry. Where do people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they enjoy your content?
Instagram mainly is my thing. Jonathan Novack is my name, just like that. Novack. And I don't know. I'll post it up. Well, I don't know if I don't have it on Instagram. I think I sent it to your producer. I don't know if you have it, but I wanted to show you guys that I do everything I can to really to try to, because you mentioned at the beginning it's my fault. Well, I do try to fight, this mother nature. Yeah. And there was, I don't know if he has it or not, but maybe later or whenever there's I try to, like with Tropical Storm Hillary, I really, I don't know if we have it, but I'm in the ring.
Oh yeah, he said it'll be our show art today.
Yeah, the show art for today.
Oh, you will? Okay, great. You'll see that. Yeah. So I really try to get out there and take these storms on.
Oh, thanks.
Thank
You're doing
you.
the Lord's
Seriously.
work, man. Thank you.
Yeah, not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes they wear ties, and we appreciate you.
Ponchos and slickers. Yeah.
Sometimes they have a pit bull, a sweet little pit bull.
Yes, she was just about to escape again, but I
go.
Oh, jeez.
All
right.
Yeah.
Go get her. We'll say goodbye to everyone. See y'all next time on the Bryan and Gina Show. Have a great week.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Bryan and Gina Show. To get in touch with the hosts or buy their books, hit them up at @BaldBryan and @GinaGrad on Twitter and Instagram, or by email at podcasts@lamag.com. To get connected with LA Magazine, hit them up at @LAMag on Twitter and Instagram. Talk soon.